Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in for today's session on latest trend in logistics and supply chain digitization. Uh, we are at SSC normally on every Saturday in evening at 7 p.m. are organizing sessions on the various latest trends of procurement and supply chain. And in line with these efforts, today we have our guest Mr. Vengatessh Rajasekar is available, who is digital transformation consultant as a at PandoCorp Institute, as well as he is a very young leader and heading the youth forum head at National Council of India at Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transportation. So today in this session, in this webinar will be in two sessions. Today's first session and second session will be on next Saturday on 12th June on the same time. So let's start without waiting for more time. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Vengatesh. Now stage is yours. You can
Yeah,
introduce
thanks,
yourself
Siraj.
and then start.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thanks, Siraj, for the intro. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I hope everyone is safe during this pandemic. And about myself, I'm Vengatessh Rajasekar, who currently work as a digital transformation consultant in uh, uh, a company, a startup company named PandoCorp, and I'm also heading the youth forum head for the National Council of India (CILT). My about my experience, I have around 6+ years of experience after my bachelor's globally on the supply chain part and also on the digitization. I have my master degree from Ireland, and also I am doing my postgraduate in business analytics in IIM Trichy. And so I think like we can enter into the session. So today's topic is basically on the latest trends in logistics and supply chain digitization. So first half, I'll be taking you through what is supply chain and more about supply chain digitalization. And on the next half, I'll be taking you through the Industry 4.0 and how IoT plays and IoT and other technologies plays a predominant role in the current era. So supply chain digitization. So our topics for discussion today in terms of supply chain digitization is basically a supply chain management for a demand-driven world, and what are the limitations of the legacy supply chain management, which is SCM, and the current supply chain which has been used today, and how data analytics plays a predominant role in the supply chain management. Also, based on the analytics, how the companies are able to take decisions based on the predictive modeling, and also about the SCM cloud part and how it creates a competitive edge in the market. And finally is basically how this the current SCM or the cloud SCM is going to create a path for a success. So supply chain management for a demand driven world. So basically you can see supply chain has become a battleground for customers, and also as a company where they need to respond fastly, even though they are competing with their current, you know sorry, I request the participants to mute themselves. Yeah, okay. So supply chain management for demand driven world. So it is basically of, even though customers are competing with their different competitors in the market, it is important that they should have a proper technology in order to survive on the market. So that is where it took us to both B2B and a B2C perspective, which is business to business and business to consumer perspective. So here there are two main key factors which is deciding the demand driven world. One is the massive disruption, where companies are being forced to use latest technologies in order to survive the current um, uh, you know uh, current era processes, and also the latest business models, which is uh, particularly necessary for a better adoption of a company. So they believe that even though they compete with the competitors, they believe that a better uh, process or a better technology is important for a massive disruption. And also changing the expectation. So you can see online companies like Amazon, Deliveroo, they completely change the B2B process. Like they completely reshape the industry perspective. They not And also the thing is, they not only reshaped the industry, but also they created a revolution in terms of B2B buyer expectations. So here you will have all the omni-channel process, where you will have omni-channel process which is happening, and then the last mile delivery. These all comes into this B2B scenario, and also a B2C scenario, which is really good for the demand-driven world. And next is about the limitations of legacy SCM. So you can see on the right side. So supply chain management is simply put up in a linear way. You can see a supply chain consists of a manufacturer who manufactures the finished product, where he will get the raw materials, where it will be an inbound to the manufacturer. Once it is manufactured, the transporter ships the materials to the warehouse, and then the warehouse will again take it to the secondary market, which is the stores or kiranos, or the distribution center, and finally it reaches the end customer. So on a linear way, if you see a legacy system, here you don't have a transparency between any two players, uh, who are available here. For example, the transporter doesn't know what is the amount of quantity which is going to be manufactured, and also the manufacturer doesn't know what is the expectation of a customer, like how much the expectation would be for them to manufacture. Like so this is the reason, main limitation of the legacy SCM. So going forward, we'll see how the current SCM has been revamped, and how it is benefiting the current scenario. So where at a technology perspective, we can see where the legacy SCM is failing. So there's something called fragility and agility. So agility in today's supply chain is mainly because you should have a faster adoption, and also enhanced services. And you are aware that on the legacy systems, they were all using on-premise technologies, which is not a cloud-based one, but their own servers or model, which is very tedious, and it is not scalable as well. That is where we talk about fragility. And next is the demand and fulfillment. So for an organization to work together, there are multiple third-party systems which operate on a different channels on the legacy SCM system. So the problem here is, this creates a challenge among the related to visibility, and there is irregular consistency in the data flow, and also the cost is seem to be higher in this case. And this is one of the key issues at an legacy SCM level, where to put it in a different way, we lack a omni-channel experience. So and next is the fulfillment complexity. So you can see like they use different fulfillment models. So basically, inventory cost is one of the critical factor for any organization, and also the lead times. Lead times is basically if a truck is dispatched from a primary or a primary location, which is the manufacturing unit or a warehouse. The lead time should be notified to the end destination location in a proper way. And for that, we require lots of real time mapping and real-time technologies which needs to be leveraged. So those things are lagging here on the legacy SCM. And also visibility gaps. So buyer expects the orders and transaction data to be at a fingerprint where they completely lag on the legacy system. So next is basically today's or tomorrow's supply chain. How would what are all required for a future supply chain? As you can see on the right side, you should have an if any technology is going to be used, a unified open architecture should be available, which can be easily managed, or any change management can be easily handled if it is a unified open architecture. And also people or the technology should move from on-premise to the cloud-based applications. And based on, and the data should be easily accessible. And to put it in a different way, when it comes to a cloud management system, accessing the data is pretty easy rather than the on-premise system. And integrating emerging technologies. So the manual process should be completely forbidden. And technology should be used to integrate, like various technologies for integrating different systems. Basically, we use different microservices and web services to integrate. Basically, we call it as an API, or a method of SFTP, which is a file transfer protocol. And those things of technologies should be leveraged. And based on this, we will have a comfortable roadmap. And again, these whatever technology which has been used should have a latest release or a version update should be done accordingly. Like how you update your phone or any app which you have it on your mobile phone. And also the security, the security or the network security or the security of a system is playing a predominant role, which is necessary for any organization, be it a big or a small. So as I mentioned, those are the points which I mentioned already. So integrated. So they should be, the system should be integrated, demand driven. It should be agile. Agile meaning it should adapt easily to the environment. And intelligent. Intelligent is basically bringing in machine learning and artificial intelligence into play, where you will be able to predict the future, and based on that, if things need to be manufactured, based on the prediction of previous month's data, we will be able to predict. Or let's take an example of a real-time case where a truck is moving from one location to another location. So once the truck is going to start from a particular point, there should be we should be able to provide a predictive time where when it will reach the destination based on multiple data which are available previously. And finally is the user experience. The end user should have easy UI or a screen which is accessible and easy to understand. And finally is the open platform. So it should not be a secured one. So it should be an open platform for anyone to use, or update to any other tech model, or build a layer on top of it, which is the cloud-based SCM is preferred here. So again, coming back to the data analytics. So three key roles here is basically orchestration, responsiveness, and clarity. So if you can see here, the supply chain decisions that drive coordinated changes across every system, every transaction, and every relevant trading partner, which is given here. You will be able to understand when I go to the next slide. So you can see here, orchestration is basically on the left side. You can see a bunch of technologies or a process or operations which is available, like network planning, contract manufacturing, multi-channel fulfillment, MRP, analytics, network planning. So it is simply put in a way that so there should be a process to orchestrate all these things in a single platform. Instead, if we are else we'll be simply juggling between the different things for different partners or different systems. So if you can see on the right side, Oracle is one of a key example where orchestration of supply chain happens in a simple way, where they have just segregated into source to settle, plan to procure, and order to cash. Source to settle is basically you source the material and you do the complete payment for that particular material until it is getting manufactured. That is source to settle. And the plan to procure is basically you plan and procure a material that is part of the procurement cycle. Order to cash is basically the sales order thing where you sell your finished product to the end customer. So this is how the new supply chain has been designed. And also responsiveness. So the system should be capable of monitoring the systems on a parallel way, not on a single channel. If you can see, rapid monitoring and simulation is a key factor for the proper maintenance of a cloud system, and also it will help us in speeding up the decision making in terms of predictive analysis. And next is the clarity. If you can see on the left side, you let us say we have different ERP systems, ERP1 legacy system, and then a ERP2. So on these three systems, we have data. So all are in separate systems. So to provide end output, we are going to combine this data and going to provide an output. Where combining this data is a manual process which is being done, and the probability of error is high. On the right side, if you can see, there are new models which has been built, global supply network model, where the data can be clubbed in the systems itself, and then a single data can be taken for an insight of doing any AI and ML methods. So like related to the procurement passes, I think Ariba is one of the key network, Ariba network, where if you need, Ariba is one of a procurement tool basically. It was acquired by SAP. It's just an real-time example where Ariba network plays a key role of where to if you need to source some raw materials, you'll be able to get the vendors in a single platform. So that instead on the traditional process, you need to make a phone calls to different vendors for any materials where you need to manufacture, and then provide a job work to them. So that can be avoided here in the futuristic supply chain model. And once we get all these data, what are the decisions and actions which we get? Say on the predictive modeling or the intelligence app. So say suppose we have 5 billion business profiles or consumer profiles, and also 45,000 dimensions to group profiles. So based on this data, what will be able to achieve? So on the right side, you can see you can get the best candidate profiles, and also based on the you can get the best fit suppliers, and also best freight providers. You can optimize the inventory, and also delivery optimization can be a simpler one. So regarding this optimizing of inventory, delivery, lane optimization during a movement of goods from one place to another, I'll be covering the real-time experience on the next week session. So
Venkatesh, you are on mute. Hello. Hello. Venkatesh, you are on mute. Now it's audible.
yeah, okay. So where did I get lost? Like, So yeah, so once we are able to execute all this on the cloud platform, this basically sharpens the competitive edge in the current scenario, where we will have adopting to the Oracle or SAP or Navision, which is part of Microsoft. These cloud systems, once we enable, we'll be able to realize a higher adoption. And also where based on the uh, IoT coming into play, what you'll be able to get in, determine is basically help uh, fight the climate change and other things, is one of the example which is given here. I can give you another example. So say suppose you are going to select one of the best transporter in the market. So for that, on the traditional time, basically what we do is we will select a list of transporters and see their SLAs. So we will see their reach time and the release time, and what is the loading and unloading time. And so based on this, we'll be able to calculate the performance. But now, as IoT is coming into play, what we are able to achieve is basically uh, the amount of carbon footprint is measured from the vehicle, where IoT sensors are attached in the uh, places where the smoke comes in the vehicle, and that data is used to calculate the performance of the vehicle itself. So this not only calculates the SLAs and others, but also the real performance of the vehicle. So here IoT is playing a predominant role. And based on this, what are the exact numbers we are able to achieve? On the operations part, we are able to show about 28%. And the speed and agility is like 36%. And also reduction in the cycle time. Cycle time is basically, say suppose we are doing a payment process on a manual phase, which is going to take 60 days. But now, once everything's digitalized, we are able to do it within 2 to 3 days. Say, suppose a shipper needs to do the payment to the transporter. And also with these mix and match tools, like lane optimization and route optimization, and also uh, weight optimization in the vehicle. So based on this, we are able to produce a cost saving of the numbers which has been displayed here. And overall, the business performance gains is almost 6%. So finally, a path for success for a proper digital SCM is if we are able to use all the below products. Basically, either it can be a procurement, a cloud enabled system should be used. If it is a manufacturing, you should bring in IoT, and also you should enable the edge computing technology, which has been used recently. So I'll talk about those technologies and IoTs on the coming sessions as well. And yeah, so this is just to show you at a higher level, like how the supply chain management in the cloud and how much you could save, is what this slide explains. And also the omni-channel experience of the future, where just to people who are not aware about the omni-channel experience, you can take an example of Netflix. So you see a movie, you pause it, and you see a movie in your mobile phone, and you log in with the same credentials in your laptop or a TV. You're able to continue it from that same phase. That is basically an omni-channel experience. And this same omni-channel experience is being implemented in the B2B scenario as well. So I'll take a pause here. Next, I'll be explaining about the benefits of enterprise data management system. Like, I'm happy to take any questions if there is any. Siraj, anything available on the chat box, or I can continue?
Can I have details of edge computing?
Yeah, I'll take you through the next session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rajesh, if I'm allowed, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yes. My question is, does any of these IoT devices have to interact with the existing ERP or SAP system, or they will work independently on their own?
No, 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 no. Yeah, it's a good question. Once I complete this slide, you will be able to understand. So IoT devices are directly integrated with the ERP systems. So of course, currently SAP is able to achieve that, and also Oracle is achieving in integrating the IoT with the ERP systems.
Okay, that's perfect. So I think I will get more clarity as you go along, but I have one more question. Does this IoT thing can be interact with the company's custom clearance processes? Can it help in that way?
Sorry, I lost
Can
you. Can you
okay,
come again?
yes. I said, can any of the IoT devices help us in mapping the custom clearance process of the company and to bring in
Uh,
efficiency as it does in case of this logistics?
So yeah, custom clearance basically, if let us take a containers. So once you set up, I can say that some security purpose issues, IoT can play a predominant role where if sensors are set up on the containers, like a notification will be sent to the people. And to give you a better idea about the custom clearance process, I believe IoT doesn't play a predominant role, but digitization of the the XIM part plays a major role. That is basically bringing in all the programming and coding part and the AI and ML part, which plays a key role in the process of XIM.
Oh, that's amazing. I think I can have a separate discussion on with you regarding this specific custom clearance topic, since this workshop is just specified for this logistics thing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to take it offline as well. Yeah, sure. So next is basic. Yeah.
Just a second. If anyone else is really want to ask any question, then we can take it. Else we will move ahead. Okay. Vengatesh,
Okay.
move ahead, please.
Yeah, sure, Siraj. So next is basically realizing the benefits of enterprise data management, or you can put it on a different way, how ERP is benefiting and the data available in the ERP is going to get benefited. So on the previous or even in current scenario, there are so many small SMEs where they are using spreadsheets and emails for processing the end-to-end process flow. But now, once enterprise data management or ERP comes into play, like as we all are aware that ERP came to play, of course, before 15 years, but there are people still using the traditional processes. So this will clearly help us in complete orchestration, and you can just find a particular issue and you can resolve it on a easier way. So the main benefits are easy change management, ensures data alignment, and enables simple governance. So basically, to put it in a different way, let us take an example of where a particular person is going to purchase a product, and a particular person is selling a product from an organization, and the end customer has received it, and he in during this transaction, the masters which have been used is basically the product, the customer data, the geography where, and the total sales which was taken place at a particular date. Once, if this particular person is moved to a different location or a different region, if an ERP is not available, it is really hard for a new person or a new person who's going to uh, get into this and also going to understand this. This is going to be a tedious process. Instead, once an ERP is implemented, you have something called a master data and a transactional data. Master data is basically where you will have the details of all necessary processes for to execute a transactional method, and the system, it will all be stored in a single system which can be accessed by any person. So if you can see on today's enterprise data management, we have lots of process starting from data warehouse, planning and consolidation. So you can see here on the bottom, each process happens in a different way, and there are manual uploads at necessary places, and the people who's taking care of the planning doesn't know what is the amount of data which is getting consolidated. So there is a gap which replicates the linear way of handling the data management. This basically lacks the visibility and also traceability. So but now with the newer ERP adoptions and newer systems, you have the system centralized, where a single whatever changes is made is being known to the other systems as well. As you can see on the top, consolidation, planning and data warehouse, everything is being done by a single central place, where the notifications or the information, whatever changes is done between different ERP systems, is known to other one. So if you can see on the bottom is the different ERP systems. So R12 is part of an Oracle system, Navision is part of Microsoft, and PeopleSoft is another one of the smaller ERP systems, and again SAP. So this is how you realize a better adoption and better alignment in the process. So whatever I told you is all mentioned here as a key factors. I'll just skip this slide. And to give you on a wider perspective, this is the role of the enterprise data management system. And also the change management in a system is pretty easy when it comes if you are maintaining a proper ERP system. So let it be let us take an example of an SAP ERP system, where like before 4 or 5 years we didn't have a cloud platform, and there is something called a traditional on-premise system which was being used by SAP end users. Now as cloud is coming into play, SAP has implemented something called HANA, which is the cloud part of the SAP. So the SAP system itself are migrating from the on-premise to the on-cloud. So this transition is, or a change management is pretty easy and pretty easy to handle. So in a business process or a business re-engineering, this is clearly mandatory, or if anyone who has done the digital transformation will know the pain if an ERP system or a different systems has been carried out for a single process, rather using the latest technologies, they'll be able to realize a better value. So this is all about the enterprise data management system. I am happy to take questions, and in the next part I'll be taking you through the industry 4.0 and also about the IoT and gist of edge computing.
Anyone have any questions can ask. Vengatessh, can you?
Hi, Vengatessh. One question, enterprise data management is good, but one of the challenges, how are you going to move all the data here? Because you have, especially in the matrix organizations and legacy organizations. So you have any case and what's your experience?
So basically, if you can see now, to give you put it in a different way, there is something called PaaS or a SaaS, which is product as a service and software as a service, which is beating the ERP system as well. So now, as every companies for the past 20 years, they have been using ERP systems. And as you told, maintaining or getting this data is, of course, a manual effort, and it is a huge task. People are moving to a SaaS-based platform where they are able to get it at a cheaper cost. Whatever an enterprise resource planning system is doing, the SaaS-based system is able to do the same activity at a cheaper cost and much at a much higher user experience level.
Anyone else? Venkatesh, I have a question. You have mentioned that SAP is moving from its regular stationary system to SAP HANA. So,
Yeah.
what's the cost of changeover from a stationary system to cloud-based system? Because the company is having a very high investment in transformation. Is it really provided any value to change from stationary to cloud apart just to make that change worthwhile?
Yeah, correct. So I can put it in two different ways, where one is moving to a cloud system is a mandatory, because having a physical service or on-premise service is not advisable or a good approach for the current scenario. Because once we have a cloud-based system, say suppose you have a physical server and it is going to crash, so you won't have a backup of any data. But when comes to the cloud-based system like Amazon Web Service or Azure, what they do is you have something called DR system, which is a disaster recovery. Say, suppose we have some natural disaster here in India, we will have a parallel backup system in other country where the cloud data will be completely handled as a backup server over there. So this can only be done at the cloud system and not at an on-premise system. But to add one more point, of course, the cloud part is expensive compared to the on-premise system, but it is worth investing in it.
This is Bharat Kumar. This is Bharat Kumar.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any sustainability in ERP using IoT systems?
Still, the usage of IoT with ERP systems is not at a higher rate, and also to measure the sustainability at this point, of course, people are working on it, and we don't have a clear number. The rate is pretty low for now. Once we have a better usage, only we'll be able to get in to or answer that particular point.
What about cloud computing?
Of course, yeah.
Because we talked a lot about cloud computing.
Exactly.
Is there any chance of sustainability for IoT?
Yeah, like on my perspective, the sustainability of IoT is pretty high, and it would really encourage the upcoming technologies, and it will create a different perception for the industries.
Now the same thing is with machine building and blockchain.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We are talking too much about it.
Exactly. Basically, the blockchain all came into play once this decentralization came into play. So where a decentralized system once came to play, this blockchain all started coming in, and to develop those blockchain technologies, we have something called uh, uh, Django, or so many tools to work on it. And of course, yeah, they are emerging more in the US market, and of course they are getting adapted in India as well.
But is there any reality on this?
so if you can let us take an example of cryptocurrency. There is no reality on it, but like if you can see for now India has banned cryptocurrency because the system is completely virtual, and we are not sure who has founded. Still there's rumors going on where who has founded the cryptocurrency and how it works and so many kinds of things. So to talk about this, it would be a bigger debate where we can talk a lot, but at an industry standpoint, no, it is not being highly used for now. They are just entering into the system. So I can just I can read multiple articles and say, see, blockchain has been used more, and and it is going to create a future. Unless we use it, we won't be able to answer that question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Usage in the okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
Hello.
Bharat.
This Bharat, Bharat. And now most
Yeah.
of the manufacturing industries are using mode of discretion analysis only. Now if you go for except FMCG and other e-commerce people are doing that, how that the Indian manufacturing industry adopt that in a prescriptive analysis and predictive analysis, it will helpful for this one SAS system.
So yeah, so to answer your question, predictive analysis is still under development, and we have not achieved it 100%. So the expectation of a client or expectation of a customer is, if you are going to predict something, that there will be always a delta change in the process. So you can predict, say, as I told you, if a truck is going from one place to another place, if it is going to start from one point and it is going at the start point, if you need to predict at what time it is going to reach, all you can do is take a list of data of 1 year or 2 year and see, and put an average on it, and then do a predictive modeling on top of it. Like so the percentage cannot be 100%, and still the data scientist and research is working on building the uh, uh, predictive model.
So how can it will be influenced over in manufacturing technology? Because the conversion is a very slow phase in coming from descriptive to predictive analysis. Now people are moving with the conventional method to the digital method. It is in slow phase because of the cost only. How can we? It will impact. It will impact in industry, in Indian industries.
Correct. So if you can see, without a predictive analysis, your accuracy will be less than 20%. But with predictive analysis, you will be able to achieve a forecast of nearly around 80%. And based on that, you can surely achieve from your previous analysis of other models. So of course, it will be a good advantage to either an Indian market or any other market with predictive analysis coming into play. But I cannot rate it as 100% that the accuracy of the data will be 100. But comparing to the previous model, of course, yeah, you will have at least a delta of 50-60% in a positive way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Kevin.
Venkatesh, you told that the use of Ariba network for the vendor, finding a vendor from like a job. How does it work actually?
So I think I'll take you through the in the upcoming session about procurement.
Okay, using Ariba, is it? How it works?
Not Ariba. Ariba was just an example. I'll give you. I can just explain you at a higher level at how an Ariba network works.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
One more question from YouTube. A common feedback in implementing ERP, WMS, or TMS system is the complexity, timeline, cost, and the risk involved, which leads to delay in go ahead for such change management projects. How does cloud supply chain architecture help in offsetting such concerns?
So basically, this is where the PaaS and SaaS comes into play. Of course, implementing ERP system in an organization, the cost is pretty high, and also the amount of end users who are working is also at a higher cost. And that is the reason people who are using the ERP systems are integrating with the SaaS-based systems. And also, that is what our company is currently doing. So we are a SaaS-based company where we have our clients like to give it a better way, at FMCG we have Britannia, Nestle, and Siemens on the manufacturing side, kind of. So they are already using their ERP systems, and now they want a transportation management system or a warehouse management system. If they go to an already SAP guy or an Oracle guy, the cost will be around in crores or in millions. So and that is the reason what they will do is the initial data whatever is required for building the TMS model, they will integrate with the ERP system and bring in the SaaS based system. And that is where in the future it is predicted that SaaS is going to beat the enterprise resource planning, and of course SaaS is going to build as an enterprise solution as well.
Okay.
And also the implementation time period for a SaaS-based model will be around 60 days. But if you need to implement an ERP system, it's going to take 6 months for a smaller organization and more than years for a larger organization.
Right. Anyone else who want to ask any questions or any query? I think
Shall
there
we
are no
continue?
more questions.
Yeah. Okay. So next we'll be discussing about the logistics 4.0 and also the IoT and other technologies at a high level. As you all know, currently we are at an era of industry.
You need to share it once again because I have stopped it since we are into question and answer session.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now we will discuss about logistics 4.0 and IoT and also the other technologies. So as you all know, currently we are in the era of industry 4.0, which is basically a more of a digital transformation era where people are completely adapting to newer technologies. You can see on industry 1.0 is basically uh, steam engines, and from steam, not even a steam engine, more of bullocks, and then a steam engine. On the industry 2.0, the transformation was to electrical energy, and on the 3.0 we had computers playing a key role. And now of course with the advancement of computers, IoT, cyber security, cloud computing are playing a predominant role, and that is where it is helping us on the digital transformation part. And hence this 4.0 industry is also called a digital transformation era. Okay, so a different development towards a smart factory at a manufacturing standpoint. On the industry 4.0, we can say something called smart factory, where intelligent sensor based systems have been used in the companies, like car manufacturing companies, like the people manpower is completely reduced, and automation of the process is enhanced. So these are some of the examples for the smart factory. And also to talk about edge computing is still not completely into play, as the cost is higher, and other complexities as we have on the right side. So what this edge computing does is it combines the cloud and data center in a single point, where the data transmission cost is high, and also you can see the energy cost is too high and latency is also too high, and that is the reason people are not still using the edge computing. And from that, the various systems work, and accordingly the edge devices are basically you can go like for a car or a transmission of a power line. For to implement edge computing here is going to be a nightmare, and that is the reason still we didn't have a usage of edge computing at a higher cost. But bigger advantage is as you can see, adding edge computing resources enable applications to be partitioned to run at an optimum network level. So it is not, if you have a different systems, say suppose a data is a huge amount of data is suddenly going to fall under one system. So this computing will be able to split it up into different systems and managing it itself. Basically, we call this as a load balancing at an network standpoint or at an architecture standpoint. So it will be able to orchestrate itself. And the key benefits here is basically faster response time and reliable operations. Security is pretty good, and integration of modern devices is also pretty good. But I would not agree on the point of cost-effective solutions. It is, of course, the cost is pretty higher. So if you can see here, this is a complete, drivers for running the supply chain or a end-to-end process. So putting Internet of Things here will be a really advantageous one, where you can see if something needs to be scanned like with RFIDs. It is also one of the techniques or machine which is used to scan, and based on the scanning it gets automatically updated on the ERP system. And whatever the guy who's going to pick a particular material, once he scans it, and a notification or it will be automatically updated in the system. Same it will be happening on the the trucks, where delivery of goods, and also on the ships, and also airways. This is a typical a manufacturing unit, or you can call it as a factory 4.0, where once all the latest technologies are implemented, how a manufacturing unit would look like. If you can see on the right side, you have a cluster of suppliers. Based on the supply, we start the manufacturing. So for the manufacturing, we use 3D printing, nanotechnologies, robotics, autonomous technologies. And this is basically, say, suppose on the picture, to build a mobile phone. So for this, there are various sensors which has been used for the traceability, and also other things. So here, as a data part, big data plays a predominant role, and again cloud computing and cyber security. What cyber security does is maintains the complete security of the complete end-to-end process. And the data, again, for a collaborative manufacturing, what is the amount of raw materials required, all the data will be available, and the suppliers will be notified, and based on that the raw materials will be procured. And finally, it is sent to the end customers. This is a new, or a factory 4.0 method, where the process will be completely digitalized, and manual process will be completely reduced over here. As I told you here on the previous slide, I was talking about linear legacy or ACM system, where everything happens on a linear way, and no one has the visibility of the other levers, and also the transparency. But if you can see on the right side, the system is completely put up into a supply chain tower, supply chain tower is basically where you will have a visibility of everything. So you will be able to track and trace each point, either the amount which has been produced and the what is distributed and what has been reached to the customer. So this is the new way of supply chain model is what I would say. So at a procurement standpoint, so the key points are supplier innovation management, digital supply chain integration, which is basically integrating with the different suppliers on the portal, which for which Ariba is one of a good example. Insert, if you need to, find or source some material, you need to keep calling to multiple people. Rather, everyone uh, can be put up in the Ariba network, and either negotiation, bidding, everything can happen in the single platform. So that covers all the P2P process, and also have a visibility for the leadership levels as well. So here is what supplier innovation management does is basically what it does is basically interface manages between the suppliers and starts driving the continuous exchange and innovation with the research and development, and also the production part. And when it comes to the digital supply chain integration, enabling the real-time process of coordinating with the other parties of the system, and of course bringing in dashboards to have a visibility. Say suppose if you're going to dispatch some 10 trucks today, you are sitting at a CXO level and you need to know what is which truck is at a which stage. So for that you will have a digital dashboards. So integrating all these in a single platform is one of the key factor here. And again, the digital category and supplier management is what the CRM, SRM, supplier relation management tool is currently doing. And finally, for to orchestrate everything, all these things, we require big data analytics. And also, this single slide explains about the procurement, and hence this is the P2P process and their added tasks. So future areas for implementation of 4.0 is here, where IoT being in the center, you are bringing in robotics, sensors, ICT into play, where you can see here the levers for each thing, how a customer, a supplier, a product designer will play a key role in the implementation of Industry 4.0. These are the future areas for the implementation process. And this is just an example of a BMW implementing the Industry 4.0. And also the just to give at a high level standpoint, logistics and SCM for European competitiveness in the manufacturing perspective. So the example like vehicles, 65% of value creation is from supply network. Is like use of modern ERP systems, or use of modern technologies is what they are trying to mention here. And also they have brought in lots of processes like ICT, which is information and communication technologies, and FOF, what you call it as factories of the future. A good example is a smart factory, which I was explaining it to you, and Aspire sustainable process industries. So it is not that once you implement all these process, you will be able to sustain this for a longer period of time. Measuring that is really high, and we should be able to withstand the cost, and we should also be aware that we are able to realize value out of it. So this is just a typical on-demand networking thing at a industrial data space point of view. And yeah, finally, here is a slide where let us take SAP HANA. HANA is basically a cloud application, and then we have IoT connectors and the manufacturing equipments, which is on the bottom side, and the corresponding user faces for each process. So here the ERP is able to integrate with the manufacturing system using IoT. Where let us take an example of implementing a warehouse management system, and once a particular product is scanned, we will be able to it automatically get updated in the ERP system as a transactional flow data. Okay. So yeah, this is it all about the IoT, the other technologies, and Industry 4.0. I'm happy to take questions.
One question is from Mr. Adar Mehta. How are you doing? How are you going to handle the challenges while transition from traditional based ERP to SaaS based system?
So yeah, so to handle the challenge of moving from a ERP system to a SaaS based system is pretty easy, because we are not going to touch the any existing process. Whatever the as is process will just go on a parallel phase, and on the parallel side we'll be doing the to be process. uh, Mainly I'll be explaining the about the digital transformation and how a successful digital transformation is carried out on the second session, which is on next week. And
Okay.
also I'll take you through the real-time implementation or a case study of how a digitization of transportation happened in Germany. And later on, in India, if we need to digitize some processes, how will that be? It will be more of a brainstorming session rather than more of a slide sessions which I took today. So the second session is expected to be more of an interactive session. So whatever I told you today, based on these inputs, you will be able to answer those points by yourself. Of course, I'll be guiding you or supporting you or correcting you with whatever queries you come up with.
One question: will edge computing technology segregate procurement?
Um,
The various activities of procurement.
So yeah, like edge computing is morely related to the real time, or a real time manufacturing products or a process. Of course, cloud computing plays a predominant role on the procurement side, but edge computing is morely related to the what you call the industry equipments and other things which are available.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone have any questions? Yeah, Ruma, you can ask. It's already available on our YouTube channel, and you can get it from there. I already shared link. However, I am once again sharing the link of. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? I think no one have questions. Let's wrap it. Vengatesh?
Yeah, sure, Siraj.
Thank you for such an insightful presentation on digitization, and you have cleared many aspects and touch upon the many aspects on SAS platform as well as Industry 4 and IoT. We hope for more examples and brainstorming session in second session, so people can understood the concept and discuss in detail, as well as ask the questions which are very useful during their corporate as well as educational journey. Thank you everyone for joining in. uh, we are signing off. Have a happy weekend. Thank you, and
Yeah,
have a healthy and happy life in this unprecedented time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks everyone.
Vengatesh.
Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah.